Ringing up
Thank
Christopher
you for
Browall.
calling Bradford District Care NHS Foundation. Your call is important to us and will be answered by our next available administrator. Please note that your call may be recorded for monitoring and training purposes. Sarah speaking.
Yes, good afternoon, Sarah. It's Mr. Hussain here regarding my brother, Mr. Talib Hussain, date of birth 15/9/1960, and I was wondering if you could put me through to Mr. Christopher Browall.
Do apologise, it just cut off there at the end. Which professional is it you wanted to speak to?
Christopher Browall.
Okay, that's fine. Just let me try his line for you.
Hi, Dad.
Oh, hi, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm all right. You okay?
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. I've been trying to contact you. I've sent you an email as well. Did you receive my email?
I did, yes, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Brown, look, the conversation got slightly heated last time. It's not something I wanna. It's something I wanna avoid. Obviously, I don't mean to be like harassing you or not harassing, but constantly ringing you up. But
Yeah.
can you understand? My situation is quite, precarious at the moment, and the reason I'm like more upset, more than just the finances, is that I got in touch with the GP practice, and they're just slamming the phone on me now, and they refuse sending the regular emails and stuff, and effectively, I think I'm just put into a very, very precarious situation, because it would be very irresponsible of me not to ensure that my brother's got some security of at least medical services, considering the fact that there seems to be like a recurring pattern everywhere, and that pattern is that don't talk to me. And that pattern seems to be repeating itself outside of the scope of our conversations, you see. So the GP practices are refusing to, like, not engaging with me, even though the only pretext that they can use is that I'm being angry or aggressive or abusive to them, and I'm not. I've never been like that. That's not my style. But more importantly, the DWP people are refusing to engage with me as well. And obviously, the housing association people are not talking to me, even though there are legal actions being taken. So can you understand? I'm being isolated deliberately, and left into this situation. And obviously, you're the only point of contact I have. And then when I'm ringing yourself up, you're saying, "Oh, look, you feel frustrated that you can't do anything." But can you understand my frustration that literally there's nobody else I can turn to?
So I'm happy to help where I can,
Okay.
and I think my frustration, the cause of that is when, it's I'm happy to talk and to talk at length, but when it's out of my control, it's kind of like, to me, that seems like wasted time, because if I can't affect any decision on that, then that's where I have a bit of difficulty with. So I'm happy to help within the remit of what I can help with, Shazad.
No, and I appreciate that, and I'm fully appraised of the wider context and the position that you've been placed into, because effectively you've been placed into a position that you don't even know what exactly your role is, as you've said, and it's basically acting as a mouthpiece and a conduit and a proxy agent for the local authority. So, for example, when the Office of the Public Guardian want to do something, they're contacting the council and like basically sending yourself, and it's seems to me that the reason, unbeknown to yourself or even to known to yourself, is that your effective role is to monitor us, all right, to ensure the fact that when the situation deteriorates, you can be the first point of call to the people in power or the authorities to ensure the fact that, at this stage you can come on and take charge of the situation. So it's like I've always had that opinion, but with regards to what you can do, I mean, effectively, you're not even in a position to organize a professionals meeting, are you? You can't. You can't instigate that.
So for your first point, what I'd say is that my role as care coordinator, in theory, is the same as for any of my other patients.
Yes.
It's a duty of care towards the patient to monitor their well-being. So that, from my understanding, it's not to kind of take charge or kind of look for someone deteriorating and then to be overbearing. It's merely just to monitor to Talib's well-being type of thing. So obviously, because of the details and the complexity of this, it's more complex than that. But on your second point with regards to a professionals meeting, so I could. Do you mean a professionals meeting an MDT where you attend?
No, but irrespective, obviously I've raised several issues with yourself in the past. I'm not even talking about now that you're going to do something under my instructions. In the past, obviously I've raised the issue of the fact that, back in October, November time, when initially you had come down under the instructions of the Housing Association concerns or safeguarding concerns that they raised, you were not in a position to have a professionals meeting then. But then obviously subsequently I've made you aware that, look, there's been some nefarious things happening to us, particularly regarding our brother Adala attempting to poison us. Those are kind of serious matters that have not necessitated, an instigation on your part to organize or spearhead a professionals meeting to try to resolve things. And as it presently stands, as you know, many other issues have been highlighted to you. The fact that, by November time you were effectively facing homelessness. So all these serious issues that I'm raising with you, your role or your remit does not extend for you to take the lead in organizing a professionals meeting. However, should you be made aware that something deteriorated has happened to my brother, for example, he's gone into hospital or he suffered an accident or something like this, your job even then would be simply to relay that to your managers, and it is your managers that would then look to instigate a professionals meeting. They would take a lead upon this. The point that I'm trying to say is that as it presently stands, you're not in a position to take a lead on looking to resolve the situation, because it's ultimately you're just reporting back to your managers, and it's ultimately their responsibility to take a lead on the matter, isn't it?
At this point, as I've said, unfortunately, I don't think the case is seen as too much of a priority as far as I'm aware. Obviously, if there was any concerns about Talib, then that might change it. But I don't think that's why it's kind of left to me to kind of, to communicate with yourself and see if there's any help or progress that we can make. I
understand. And obviously what you say about help and progress is only geared towards the authorities. But the reality is that even when you first came on board, you were not taking the lead when you came on board in regard to the safeguarding, and Talib's whereabouts were not known. Remember in Oldham in October, November 2021, when you became involved in this case, it was not you that was taking the lead. Somebody had instructed you and your colleague to travel to Oldham. But can you understand? There was a concern raised, whether it be malevolent or malicious, irrespective. A concern was raised that Talib's whereabouts were unknown, and so a professional meetings was arranged, and you were instructed to come down to Oldham to see Talib. So what I'm trying to say is that when you first came involved, somebody else is basically in a position to coordinate. That was not led by Baljit Nota, was it, or 20Apr23?
Again, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn and it doesn't cause. It's my understanding is that perhaps that was led from contact from Oldham GP
yes.
perhaps for us to maybe do a welfare check or something like that.
Yeah, so. but okay, so that was triggered by the Oldham GP, but the only reason that was triggered by the Oldham GP is because I had gone down trying to resolve a situation, and they had at the same time. Around about the same time, they had reported me to the police, obviously raised as a safeguarding as a consequence of me trying to resolve a situation where services had been compromised, and they effectively then, unilaterally discharged my brother and sister on pretense and allegations that the police had to be called because I was being aggressive, and and that's not the case though. So I understand it may have been instigated by the GPs. But the GPs can only instigate a safeguarding alert. It then has to be coordinated. They were not in charge of coordinating the efforts to try to resolve the concern, were they?
I don't think there's that much coordination that's done. It's a request comes in, and then it gets passed to the frontline support or the care coordinators and things like that. Even though I wasn't Talib's care coordinator at that time. To conduct a welfare visit, so it's not usually a complicated operation or anything like that. It's just passed on to the community team to follow up really.
But can you understand? Under these circumstances, you had come down initially in October when Baljit Nota was still around. The case was still in transitioning, and in October the GPs did not raise that concern because obviously at that time, if you recall, the GPs were working with the Bradford Council in order to facilitate a mental capacity assessment which had failed. But look, I mean, we're just going over old grounds. The point that I'm trying to state is that you're not in really a position to take a lead on coordinating efforts to resolve a matter, which is obviously proven to be the case, considering that I've raised several safeguarding issues, that all you could really do is escalate it to your manager, and your managers have to make the decision, well, this is serious enough to warrant, a further, a coordinated effort between yourself and the police or yourselves and other authorities. That's not happening right now, and that's the point that I'm just trying to make, is that look, nothing's getting resolved, and that would be in a coordinated effort with other external professional agencies like the police or the GPs or the social services in Oldham or any other kind of professional body. But under these circumstances, the problem is that you're not even able to coordinate something as simple within the organization, like for example resolving my brother's money issue. You cannot take a lead upon this. All you can do is seek advice from other parties. So let's just move on to the conversation of where we left things last time, was that you were going to contact within your own organization the professional deputy to find out two things. One of them was to be able to relate to Talib or myself, so I can relate to Talib how much money he has, and second of all, how the local authority proposes to dissipate the accumulated funds. Have you managed to get any further information on this?
Yeah, I have. I think that with regards to say the balance, I think that wouldn't need to be. That may be a possibility, but I think we need to be able to arrange a meeting where Talib's there, so we'll be able to speak directly to Talib, of course, if you were there as well, to discuss it.
No. So let me just get this clear. We've just asked for a balance of how much money you have, and ultimately, what you're telling me is that the local authority want to utilize our need or requirement for money in order to see Talib, which has been the ongoing concern that obviously I have. That Talib has said, I don't want to see you. So it seems the fact that you're looking. But first of all, can I answer the question? Are they willing to tell Talib his balance?
At this stage, I don't believe they are, no.
Okay, all right. So therefore, if they're not willing to tell Taliban's balance, they are effectively utilizing our request in order to meet their narrative or agenda in order to see Talib. When Talib has made it quite clear he does not want to be seen, and the reason he does not want to be seen, or I would advise him not to be seen, is because obviously previous attempts have been made to instigate a false flag safeguarding alert. And that is historically been the case in my mother's case, where you have forcibly broken down my sister's door, not you personally, but Vicina Brown and Nadia and Vicina Brown and the social workers for my mother, and then utilized that, or there was a lock on the door in order to instigate welfare proceedings. So can you understand that it seems evident to me that that the council have no intentions of providing us with a simple balance. So therefore, effectively, you're not in a position to provide him with any money, because there is no law that requires you not to disclose that information. It's down to your discretion, and you're utilizing that as effectively a tool, isn't it, in order to achieve what your objectives are.
I don't think it's kind of as complex as that. I've spoken with appointeeships. As far as I'm aware, there's no hidden agenda. As we said, that is a policy that's in place. I can agree there's not, that you kind of contest the validity of that policy.
Okay.
I also spoke, so I don't think it's like a hidden way to try and meet Talib.
Yes.
I think that generally it's to try and reach some kind of compromise, and certainly from my part it is. And with regards to the second part of your question that you asked the other day, you spoke about being reimbursed with monies and things like that. So I was told that if you were able to kind of show evidence of that and monies spent and receipts and that, then appointeeships could consider, reimbursing those monies as long as there's some evidence of the monies that you've spent.
Okay, Okay, so effectively, you're asking me to evidence money that's social care money, that is not social care money, but is benefit money. So in the absence, I can equally can you evidence that what has my brother been living on? Do you understand? So these are further. Can you understand that? Look, try to understand this, that when the money that you were giving, that was coming from you, the council, was not DWP benefit money that comes from the government, but when it comes from the council's budget, then you're giving DWP benefit money, and you were equally asking us for receipts and to audit them, all right? So you knew where the money was going, and you failed for 5 years to do that. So effectively now what you're saying is that I'm asking you, how do you propose to dissipate the money? And you're asking me, well, you evidence to us and we'll dissipate it that way. What happens if I refuse to evidence it to you? All right, then you still
Yeah, that's part of it. So that was regarding like reimbursing monies already spent. Also, it would be possible to arrange a budget plan, which wouldn't necessarily require all receipts, but a budget plan that would be able to decide upon a weekly amount. So if you could provide a budget plan for the cost that Talib incurs, and obviously with his living costs and things like that, day-to-day monies, then that would be a way to provide a weekly allowance, whatever that budget is. And then, as I said, then if there were further kind of one-off payments, then it'd be a case of providing.
Okay, all right.
But there'd have to be some leeway with that.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
And I said this to appointeeships. You can't be expected to provide evidence of every. And that's why there'd be a budget plan there in place.
But are you not talking about direct payments now then?
No, I'm talking about the money in appointeeship.
So can I just ask, the money that you got in appointeeship, where is that being held? Is it being held under trust?
I don't know the details.
No, but what
sure.
effectively? Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
What effectively?
So I think
sorry, go on.
In account. I don't know the details of that.
No, because the thing is, what you're describing to me, first of all, there is you cannot tell me there's a policy. First of all, let's discuss the policy. If it's a policy, A policy has to be written down, it has to be signed off by a manager, and it has to be dated or when the policy was created. So if you're saying there is a policy and I disagree with the policy, it cannot be a colloquial policy that you're just making up on the spot. So first of all, in order for me to even consider that you have a policy in place, you would have to then provide me with a written evidence to me that there is such a policy. Can you do that?
That's true. Yeah. So to be honest, I know enough about appointeeship, so that's me surmising that there will be a policy. All I know is that's the general practice with appointeeship.
Okay. So that there is. Can you understand a policy? If especially by a public organisation such as yourself as a local authority, a policy has to be written down. All right. And so therefore, if you're asking me, oh well, it's our policy to not do that. That is like colloquially speaking, like. You have a policy. You don't have a policy because it's not written down, and it would not be required to be written down because ultimately this is discretionary. And I think we need to make a distinction here. The money that's accumulating is welfare benefit payments, all right, that you have illegally or malevolently or whatever means that you've done, you've accumulated that money, all right. But all right, so the question arises is that would be his living expenses. Do you understand that people that have no social care needs still receive benefit money like disability living allowance and PIP payments and all sorts of other payments? They don't have any social care component of that. Yes?
Yeah.
All right, so you're accumulating that money, and then you're asking to create a budget in order to dissipate that money which is accumulating due to welfare benefit payments. What about the fact that my brother has social care need money that you're not even talking about?
So as we said before, that would need a separate assessment, and you know that would, if it was going to be from an external party or there was a direct payments agreement, then that would be the way for talent to be assessed and
okay. All right, but that would be the case if Talib had never ever received, if he was coming to the council afresh, all right, and had never taken on those services and you had never made payments. That would be the case. But under these circumstances, in over 10 years ago, he was receiving £410 in direct payments for his social care needs, which you've stopped. So therefore, that money's been accumulated as well. So for over 10 years, that's been accumulating.
I'm not sure. I don't know the details of it, but I don't think it has been accumulated. You could say that it's maybe saving the council that money, or it's saving social care that money.
Okay.
I don't think furthermore it's not accumulated.
Yes, I understand. I understand. You're right. You are right there. And the reason for that is because the money that you raise through council tax for adult social care and the money that the government gives you in one-off discretionary payments to meet social care is not ring-fenced, is it?
I don't know.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is ring fenced. So what often happens is that you raise this money and it's not ring fenced and it's not put into a separate, social care budget account. All it is done is just simply budgeted, and then it comes down to your personal discretion of who you feel, how much you should be paid. And this comes back to the point of, the underlying argument here is that I'm charging for social care. I also have a policy, and when I say I have a policy, obviously I can write a document, but that policy has to be first of all clearly articulated and it can to a point where it can be written down. Second of all, more importantly, it has to be relayed to the other party, like you're relaying to me that you have a policy after I've told you after my brothers asked for what his balance is. You just come back, oh, we've got a policy, we don't need to tell you that. Okay, but you've only communicated that to me after the event or after I've made inquiry, so you can get out of giving that information. But in my circumstances, I've gone to court, I've publicized my policy. All right, so I have certain policies. One of my policies is that all my interactions with professionals, particularly social workers, is recorded. And the reason for that is because the local authority social workers in the past have known to be, pathological liars, and deceptive and crooked, which has resulted in one of my brothers being murdered, my father being murdered, and now my mother being murdered, and also has resulted in me going to jail under lies and falsehoods created by the social workers. So that's one of my policies. Another policy is that I have a weekly charge cost of social care provision for my brother Talib, which is, as you know, I've repeated it many times, is £1 million a week. So those are my policies. You're aware of my policies. You've not challenged my policies. You're simply just ignoring them and sidestepping them and finding ways to sabotage my policies. All right, and you've done that both in the recording aspect of it. Obviously, you've got in touch with the Information Commissioner's Office. They've advised you that there's nothing we can do to prevent him from regarding his policy. So you, the local authority, have then gone to court and taken legal action against me to prevent me from recording things. And I would just like to remind you that even as recently as November 2022, when I've ended up in court in relation to my brother Talib and myself in the housing association matter, a court order has been drafted in order to get Talib to be seen by a professional and also a capacity assessment to be carried out. But interestingly, also as part of the court order, it says you cannot record the professional interviewing Talib. Why would they put that caveat in place from the housing association when the housing association that's not a priority for them, but it is a priority for the local authority who are fully aware of my policies. So the fact that you've been made aware of my policies and then taken steps to sabotage or circumvent my policies shows me the fact that you understand and have accepted the policies and then attempted to undo them or undermine them. So that's all I need to prove in a courtroom of law, which obviously you're not a solicitor on, or you do not know that aspect of the law. But according to my understanding, as long as you understand a policy and you've then attempted to circumvent it, means the fact that you've accepted the policy and you've accepted the policy in principle, but then you've attempted to sabotage it. So just like you're telling me about a policy, right? I don't accept that is a policy right now because you're not providing me with any written evidence of it. And if I then attempt to say, okay, well, I agree with that, but I'm going to try to circumvent it, then obviously I've accepted the policy. Right now, I cannot accept that as a policy that you cannot tell us how much balance he has. So I just wanted to highlight those points. And when you're saying that nothing malevolent is going on or nothing fraudulent is going on, it's not simply you can dismiss this. Like I know something fraudulent is going on because, like, even in this call, can I just ask, is this call being recorded by you?
No.
All right. It's not being recorded by you, but it is being recorded, isn't it?
By yourself, yeah, I believe.
Yeah. No. It's being recorded by somebody else as well, isn't it?
By who?
Well, when I've called you, Mr. Browall, I do have your mobile number. I've never called you on your mobile number, have I?
I don't think you have.
No, I've never called. I do have your mobile number, and I tell you, I got your mobile number through legal paperwork that the housing association contacted you and provided in that legal disclosure of your mobile number. So I have your mobile number. I've never called you on your mobile number for this particular reason. If I was to call you on your mobile number, it is correct that call would not be automatically recorded. Is that correct?
No, not something I'm aware of, no.
All right.
No.
But now that I've gone through the switchboard, this call is being recorded by the switchboard, isn't it?
Not that. Well, when you say recorded, they make a note that you have called and that they've transferred it to me. I don't think it's being recorded word for word. I don't think it's... Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, because my understanding was that all calls are recorded, and when I mean recorded, I don't mean like noted down, but audio recorded.
I think you've mentioned this before, not that I am aware of, and I don't know where it would be recorded, so not that I'm aware of at all. Maybe the phone call to when you speak with a single point of access, I'm not sure if they keep a record of those phone calls, but I'm not aware of this being recorded at all.
Okay, but you wouldn't know that, would you? Because that's like a technical issue.
I wouldn't know but it sounds quite outlandish to me that the phone calls that I receive on this phone via switchboard would be recorded.
Why does it seem? Is it your private mobile phone?
No, it isn't. No.
It's a company phone, and obviously, most. I mean, this like I don't want to be veering off on the subject, but do you accept that it's not your phone and you're at work?
Yeah.
And to ensure the fact that why would it not be recorded? Because you could effectively use this phone to do personal calls.
Yeah.
So I think it's not, the word you use is outlandish, and this is, I don't think, the right word, because many organizations monitor calls or record how even when you're on your computer. Do you believe it's outlandish that what you're doing on your computer is not being recorded and monitored by your managers?
Yes, I'm sure it is, Shazad.
Yeah. So it's just that aspect, but can you understand that? Now the problem here is that I am ringing you up, and irrespective of my policy, this call is being recorded, and I've got no means to get this recording back. So can you understand? That's the problem I have, is because I've not called Bradford County.
I'm not aware that it is being recorded. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like I say, it may be if it goes to a call centre and a single point of access. I don't know.
Okay.
I would find it difficult to believe that this phone call is being recorded by the council or anything like that, even though it's to a works mobile. But
okay.
Maybe it is. I'm not
sure. So is it correct that you do not know in it?
I do not think it is. I've never. I would have thought I would have known about a phone call to these calls being recorded and things like that.
Okay, but can you understand? Like, for example, when I ring up other organisations, the calls are recorded. So when I ring up the DWP, the calls are recorded. When I ring up the Talib's GP practice, the calls are recorded.
I think so. They usually say, don't they, before you speak to anyone, all calls are recorded for training purposes or something like that.
Yes, that's right, yes. So can you understand, if under those circumstances, it's clear to me that I can make a subject access request and get a copy of those call recordings, yes?
Right, okay.
So there's nothing fraudulent going on there. When I ring up the DWP, and I've done this in the past, I've said, can I get a copy of the call recordings? They provide me with those call recordings, all right? The same thing is with the GP practice. But here, it's complicated, made by you, the structures in place, because I've not rang up Bradford Council, I've rung up the NHS. And if the NHS have a policy of recording, I know you're not sure or you don't believe so, but let's just assume that, considering that most organizations record calls, assuming that this call is recorded, I've got no practical way or legal way to get this call recording back. That's why I keep on saying that something is fraudulent, because who's recording this call? It's normally, if I'm calling up, for example, if I'm calling up the NHS Trust, they have a right to record the call, as long as they make me aware of it, all right, that they're recording it. They have a right to record it, and then I have a right to get my recording back. But in these circumstances, they call, you're working for Bradford Council, and who do I make a subject access request to? So this is where you've made something, you're basically doing something, making something complex, which it doesn't need to be complex. And so can you understand? So this is when you say it's nothing fraudulent. It's fraudulent to me because I'm an intelligent person. I have a right to be informed, and in order for me to be informed, I have I need to give informed consent. All right. And as it presently stands to me, this seems very fraudulent to me. Because it's not very clear cut who I'm talking to. Am I talking to, because obviously, as you can appreciate, I'm not talking to Christopher Browall, the citizen, because you're not your work right now. Am I talking to Bradford Council, who's your employer, or am I talking to Bradford District Care Trust, both of which are legal entities who can who I can take legal action against? Do you understand? And if you're saying the fact that no, we're a combination of both, I've now been made aware that there's something called independent commissioning boards, or remember the CCGs? They got overtaken by a new authority. I think ICBs, integrated something boards. So that is social care and health care integrated, but that's a legal entity that I can take legal action and have accountability to. See, the problem here is, Mr. Browall, is that you're telling me there's nothing fraudulent going on, yet there's this mist of uncertainty of who I'm even speaking to. Because am I speaking to Bradford Council right now, or am I speaking to Bradford District Care Trust right now?
I don't know, Shazad.
Well, you tell me. I'm in a call. I can't even tell. I can't even tell who I'm talking to. So, can you understand? A very basic question is that, Mr. Browall, I'm on a telephone call to you. I need to know, and you're not a private person. You're part of an organization, a corporation. Which corporation am I speaking to right now?
Let's see on the badge. So I work for the.
No, Mr. Browall, I'm not asking who you work for. I'm asking, I'm in a call today. I need to have just simple clarity of understanding. Which legal entity am I speaking to?
Well, I'm a care coordinator in the community mental health team.
Mr. Browall, I did not ask you what your role was or what your post is. I'm asking you in a general basis. I am Mr. Hussain, all right? I'm a private citizen, and I represent my brother Talib. I'm ringing on his behalf as his carer, all right? So that's very clear, isn't it, who I am? I can tell you where I live. I can tell you my date of birth or my phone number. You can identify who I am. I'm a legal person. If I say anything or untowards you, or if I abuse you, or if I do anything criminal towards you, you can take legal action against me as a person, as a legal entity. Conversely, in this call today, you are not a person. You are an employee of an organization, and I'm asking the simple question that, so for example, if you were to give me if I was to take legal action against your role or what you've done, it would not be against you personally, would it, as an employee? Because that's got nothing to do with me. I don't employ you. Who would I be taking legal action against? Or similarly, if I'm talking to you on the telephone and I have a right for subject access, who do I make the subject access request to?
So what I would say is, if you were Talib, then that might alter the situation. Regarding it, it's my understanding that subject access requests can be made verbally, but I would have thought that would need to be the person themselves making that request.
Well, look, I am sorry to interrupt that. I am the person. This is my call, isn't it? I'm talking to you. This is my voice. This is my phone call. I'm the person. All right, this is my data.
Okay.
I may be acting as a representative for Talib, because Talib can't talk to himself, and that may be a subject of our discussion. But this call, if it was recorded, and we're just assuming now because you don't know, and I'm not fully informed of this, but assuming that this call is being recorded, then who do I make the subject access to? Because that identifies the legal entity that I'm speaking to.
I don't know. I could try and speak to information governments and ask them if they would be able to answer that question.
So can you understand some very basic things are not being answered here? All right. So if I can't answer a basic question, all right, then I assume that something fraudulent is happening. And then he's saying it isn't. You can't even answer the basic questions. Like a basic question is that how much money does my brother Talib have? What you've been advised, and it's not you acting malevolently. You've basically said that we're willing to tell you in a face-to-face meeting so we can get to see Talib. All right. And you're disregarding that Talib has authorized me to act on his behalf, so he does not want to see professionals. And the reason he does not want to see professionals is because he's a vulnerable adult who's being abused by you, the professionals. And he knows this. You've kidnapped him from our home. You've forcibly medicated him. You've made him ill. You've murdered his mother. You've not seen his mother. I mean, the list is endless. But can you understand? This is just another dirty tactic. Not by you, Mr. Browall, but by those in charge. Because the reality is that there is no onus upon me to provide you with anything like what you're saying. And if I don't provide you with anything, the problem is in your ball court, not my ball court. You are now accumulating Talib's benefit, social welfare, living expense money. You're doing that and depriving my brother of unfettered access to his benefit money. And I would like to remind the council that that is a criminal offence in law, not under statute, but under common law. And what that criminal offence arises from is under what you, the council, have done to me, and convicted me in our Regina versus Mr. Shajad Hussain 2016. So it is right now you're doing a criminal offence, and you want me to help you by providing you with evidence to help dissipate money that your proceeds of crime. Look, help me.
The same issue is the appointeeship is in place, and yourself and you say Talib as well are not willing to accept the appointeeship. So that's where we're still in the same situation. And as I said, I'm not in a position to affect that situation. I'm in a position to facilitate access to Talib's money via the appointeeship. So I'm happy to help in whatever way I can. But in challenging the appointeeship itself, I'm not able to.
Yeah, no, Mr. Browall, I fully understand what you can and cannot do in our numerous lengthy conversations. I know this. You're limited. Your hands are tied. But can you understand? I'm not talking to you as simply the care coordinator. I'm talking to you as member of the council. Look, the reason I'm ringing up is because I've received a text message from the DWP stating, let me just see what the text message states. The DWP have stated that they are giving money to me to meet the cost of living crisis. Okay, so let me just give me 1 second. I've got a message from the DWP which was received yesterday, and they are basically stating the £301 cost of living payment will be paid automatically on the 25th of April to the 17th of May. For more information, search online for the DWP cost of living payment. So what's happening here is that the government, all right, recognizing that there's a cost of living crisis, is making out one-off payments to people on benefits, and that money needs to be spent to meet cost of living crisis. Now, in my particular circumstances, as the carer, I'm receiving that money from the DWP and from the government. Equally, my brother Talib, because he's on qualifying benefits, he's receiving that money, but there's no way to get that money to Talib. All right. And the reason that there's no way to get that money to Talib, irrespective of how you've got that money through the appointeeship, Talib has explained to you orally in person that he does not want the money. All right, give it to Shazad. And that was a conversation that your predecessor, Baljit Nota, had with my brother Talib. And that can be verified on your records. You can see that's what's happened. I can't accept the money because I understand that this is proceeds of crime. So, and in order to help me understand that it's not proceeds of crime, you're not even telling me how much balance you have, and you're telling me some gobbledygook. Not you personally, but they're telling me that there's a policy in place. All policies are discretionary. They're not legal or lawful. Nothing legally prevents my brother from knowing how much money you've accumulated. And then, when I've made this, and this is a recurring theme, Mr. Browall, that whenever I ask for something, the local authority say, well, how can we use this request to meet our own objectives? All right. And one of your own objectives is that you want to see Talib in order to raise a false flag safeguarding alert so you can take further legal action in order to abduct Talib. And that's why I previously mentioned to you that you, the local authority, not you personally, but you, the local authority, have contacted my niece Shagufta and told her to visit us in September 2022. Then obviously I've not allowed her access, and then she's come and visited us, and we've arranged to go to a restaurant, and she's seen my brother, and then so therefore she wants nothing to do with us. Somebody in the council have instructed her. I know for a fact that she's a bad agent that works for the local authorities' agenda, just like my sister Shaida does, just like my brother Adalat does. And so that obviously in October failed. Then in November, we went to see our brother. Our brother then, number one, poisoned us. All right, so we would require healthcare services. That all failed because I didn't give the food to Talib. I ate myself and became poisoned. I've made the allegation that somebody made an attempt on my life. Whether that's unfounded or not founded, I can't evidence that. But what I can evidence is that after we had visited Adalat, Adalat instructed Shagufta to report us to the police. All right. And so therefore numerous attempts are being made to see Talib in order to put forward a contrivance that there's some safeguarding, because if there's safeguarding or concerns or welfare concerns, then you, the local authority, have power to take court action and take actions against me. That's exactly what you did to my mother. You know, Mr. Browall, with respect, how can you say to me that I should trust you people when I'm telling you that my father's been murdered by you people, my brother Nazim's been murdered by you people, I've gone falsely to prison by you people, my mother's now been murdered by you people, and you're asking us trust us? And the reason you should trust us is because we've got professionals titles. I don't give a damn about your professional titles. We don't trust you because you're murdering us.
Okay, can we wind up the talk?
Yeah, okay, Mr. Browall, look, I mean, I asked you for some information. Some Eid's coming up. We've got a cost of living crisis, and there's nothing going to be resolved now. Is that right?
As I've said, I've explained. I've spoken with the appointee chiefs. I've said that I'd like to try and facilitate access to Talib's access to his money with support from you. I think it's reasonable to think that you will need to support Talib with that. I think it's reasonable to think that a prepaid card could, and I don't want to go over the reasons why you won't accept a prepaid card. So I would be doing my best to try and facilitate that so Talib has access to his own money.
Yes.
I've explained ways that can occur.
Yes, I understand.
What else I can
Okay,
say.
but can you understand? That's what. You doing that. Me taking a payment card for my brother, or my brother taking payment card. Can you understand that if we accept money from you, we will meet our financial needs to a certain degree, but we would be assisting you in the fact that we would be helping assist you from the criminality that you're presently committing. So
that's fine.
No, Mr. Browall, just look at it from our perspective at the moment. I've said the fact that irrespective of that, you got a court order in place. Obviously, I don't want to go over old ground to tell you that court order is fraudulent. You bought off the judge. There was a capacity assessment that nobody took into consideration. You attempted to pay somebody to Dr. Nicholas Todd to falsify records. I don't want to go over that, Mr. Browall. But irrespective, right now, I'm telling you that you're accumulating money unlawfully. You may have a court order stating otherwise, but irrespective, my brother's not receiving that money, and so effectively, if I take a prepayment card order from you and you start paying the money, then effectively I'm helping and assisting you with dissipating your criminality. So okay, well, fair enough. Let me rephrase this then. Let me put it another way. Okay, well, I said to you, fine, in order for us to take the money, we need to know how much that money is. And you're telling me that you, the council, are not prepared to tell us how much money that is, yes?
I don't know about not prepared to tell. I've passed on the request, and I've been told that was the answer.
What was the answer again? Are you going to tell us or not tell us?
The balances are not shared with...
Okay, all right. So, but can you understand, that's I can't steal the money. You've got the money. So what would be the risk of telling Talib or myself how much money he has?
No, I agree. I'm not saying I disagree with that. I don't see...
What's the risk? It's you got in your... What is it? See, you're not even giving us information. You see, your gatekeepers, not only to the money, your gatekeepers to information, and it's basic information. You're asking us...
I agree, Shazad.
Yes, okay.
I don't see what the purpose of that is.
Yeah, you're not giving an explanation. I know you... I know.
It's their money. They should be able to know the balance.
Yeah, know the balance. So you're not taking the first step. So if the first step is wrong, we can't accept the money. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that you're not going to tell us.
Are you saying if I was able to get you the balance, then we could talk about trying to arrange for Talib to get his money and have greater access to his money?
But
is that what you're saying?
Is that not what I told you last time? That in order for, I said, okay, Mr. Browall, in a lengthy conversation, I said, all right, look, I'll compromise. If you're saying the fact that all you can do is help facilitate the money, I asked, the first thing we would, in the minimum, we would need to know that you're not acting dishonestly, and you're acting with you're acting with good intentions. And good intentions means telling us how much money that is. The first thing, in order, like right now, my argument is that we're not in a position to take on the money because you're not telling us the balance. And that balance, I did not make that request. You came to our house. My brother Talib asked you for a simple question. He was there. He asked you how much money have I got. You came back and said our policy is not to tell how much money you've got. So that's why we cannot accept the money. I've then conceded in our last conversation and said, okay, look, in order for us to even entertain the notion of accepting the money, we will need to know how much money that is. All right. So I'm even saying presently we're not even in a position to entertain the notion to accept the money because we think it's fraudulent and criminal. If, as a goodwill gesture, you should be able to tell us how much money there is, and not you, but other people. You agreed with me that we should know how much money there is, but your superiors or people at the council, after taking legal advice, have said that we've now created a new policy that states that you don't need to know that information, which is ridiculous.
No, I don't think they've created that. Like I say, I think that's just standard practice for the financial.
It's a practice, yes. Yes, so can we use the right terminology? It's not a policy, it's a practice. And practices are, not rules. It's not a rule, is it?
I don't know. I'd need to speak with financial protection team again, but I'm not sure if it is a rule or if it's policy or it's a practice. But all I do know, it's a practice.
Yes.
It's the same for other people's with appointeeship.
Yes. So can you understand that a practice is not the same as a rule, which is either a policy or a law?
I can understand that. Yeah.
So okay, so this is what I've left you with, and the reason I became upset and the conversation became slightly hostile is because you were stating that the financial deputy is prepared to tell you the balance, but you don't want. You've said I don't want to know the balance.
Yeah, because then if I've got that information, it's almost like they're saying that they can't tell the person the balance, but they can disclose that information to me, and then it will be up to me to disclose. But then the consequences of that would then be on me, wouldn't they? So that's what I would feel.
So Mr. Browall, what you are telling me is that you're looking to be willfully ignorant.
What, in not being told the balance?
Yes, so my brother's made a request for his balance, and you have elected to be willfully ignorant of the balance, so you don't have to tell us.
I'm keeping to the policy.
No policy.
The practice. No, not the policy.
Yes.
The practice of what is generally the practice with financial.
So is it?
I don't really want to step out of that practice.
Okay, that's fair enough. But it is correct that my brother asked you for the balance in May last year. Yes.
He did.
Yes, and you've said that because it would interfere with the local authority's position, you don't want to know what the balance is.
Pretty much, yeah.
So you're willing to be willfully ignorant, but then you could also say the fact that the local authority could write out to Talib and tell him the balance. We could do it in writing. But the local authority is saying this goes against our practice. So can you understand that?
I don't know if there is exceptions to that. If there is exceptions to that, then I would support.
Yes, Mr. Brown, and there's always an exception. There is always an exception to any rule, even there's exceptions to law, aren't there? There are always exceptional circumstances, even in law. All right. So when a law is in place, and as you can place, what I'm talking about is statutory law. When members of the Parliament vote on something and it come enacted, and the Queen signs or the King signs off on it, and there's a law in place, there are always exceptional circumstances. All right. And we're not even talking about a law. We're not even talking about a formal written policy. We're not even talking about a formal procedure. We're just talking about a practice. All right. And you're not. So can you understand that you're effectively being dishonest and disingenuous by saying that you're looking to assist us with facilitating the money, but then you've gone out of your way to be willfully ignorant of the request that my brother made to you about how much money we've got. I don't understand, Mr. Browall. Please help me understand, why are you not telling us how much money you've accumulated?
Because, as I said, I don't fully understand why that practice is in place. So I'm assuming that there's a good reason for that. So if that's the practice of the financial protection team, then I would kind of estimate that there's a reason for that, even if I don't understand the reason for it. So I wouldn't want to kind of break that practice.
All right. Would you be open to entertain the idea that that is a fraudulent and a criminal practice?
No, I don't know. I would assume that the financial protection team would know what's a fraudulent or criminal practice.
No, I'm just saying, are you willing to entertain the idea or notion that a certain practice can be fraudulent and criminal?
That is a possibility, yeah,
yes.
In general.
So you're willing to entertain the idea, aren't you?
Not that practice is fraudulent and criminal, no, just that such things exist.
Okay, in theory, such things exist. So, look, basically, something's happening, all right? You don't understand why it's happening. I'm telling you that this is the reason that it's happening, and you're dismissing that. So, look...
I wouldn't say I'm dismissing it. I'm saying that I'm following the general advice.
I know you are following... Look, Mr. Browall, the reality is this, that I'm telling you the explanation. The explanation is because something fraudulent and criminal is happening, and you, the local authority, effectively as an authority, want to be in control and charge, and you want to become gatekeepers of money and information, and that's wrong, because it's not your money and it's not your information to be gatekeepers of, and that is just a general practice that I have concluded through my many years of interacting with the local authority. Bradford Council. The Bradford Council want to act as gatekeepers to money, resources. No, basically they want to act as gatekeepers to resources, which consist of money and information and manpower. So basically your job is to act as gatekeepers to our own lives. And this is why I take exception to, is that you can act as gatekeepers to money that you may have got from whatever means. But you cannot act as gatekeepers on information or money that belongs to us. Do you understand, Mr. Browall? So this is a general practice by the local authority, that you want to act as gatekeepers to resources, because you want to utilize those resources for your own benefit when they are legally our entitlements.
I can say that, if it's the first step towards yourself and Talib entertaining the notion of the appointeeship, would be to tell it to be and I can see if there's any movement on that.
Okay, well, like I said, yes, can you please look into that for us?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, and with regards to like dissipating the money, what response I'm giving to this is because we are not required to evidence how we may be required to evidence how direct payments, which is untaxed money that you were giving from the council's budget, we may be required to evidence that. But why should my brother, or why should I evidence how we're spending benefit money? Because nobody up and down this country that's receiving benefit money has to provide accountability or receipts for that, do they?
can put that question to financial protection.
Yeah, because what you're saying is basically unlawful, because this money that my brother receives in benefit money is not, it's already taxed. It does not require taxing, and it does not require accountability, because everybody up and down the... So can you understand, Mr. Browall? Okay, just to finish off our conversation, because obviously I'm just conscious of the fact that you've been courteous enough to take my time, take my call today, and I'm sure you're busy with other things. Just on this point, if I am required to provide evidence in a receipts form for you, who's going to pay for that? She's under the call. Yeah. The call just dropped. No, let me just...